In July of 2023, myself and Bedhead Bernie published a video compiling our findings on a long-forgotten case. Back in 2016, online drama show host Keemstar accused British commentator Pyrocynical of dating an underage French girl. Most people remember that Pyro called bullshit, and most of the public wrote Keem off. What they don't remember is that Keemstar later posted DM evidence showing that Pyro had been in a short online relationship with a French girl who was underage. The French girl, as the public would know her, states that she was 14 at the time. In an old Reddit post, Pyro acknowledged the DMs and states that she was 15. Pyro would have been 18 himself. The information was forgotten about for the next few years, only resurfacing in late 2020 whilst Pyrocynical was dealing with a separate set of allegations. The French girl came back into the spotlight, yet her concerns were with another individual. It turns out that after a brief relationship with Pyro, she would date another YouTuber affiliated to Pyro in the commentary community, someone by the name of Ancient Reality. According to her testimonies and her evidence, this 24-year-old man abused her while she was 15, having sex with her multiple times, intimidating her into deleting potential evidence, and encouraging her to self-harm. Ancient Reality, known as Mick Gerards, would go on to make several successful channels, such as Prince of Zimbabwe and Tender Tomato. The information resurfacing led to a sense of shock, disgust, and confusion. Publicly, no one knew what even happened to Ancient Reality. Most assumed that he had just left the internet because he was bored, and even behind the scenes, this was a surprise. The only people who knew about this disgusting relationship were those who were closest to the situation, with one of them being Pyrocynical himself, as seen in the DMs. And although even he didn't know of the disgusting details of the relationship until long after it had ended, the DMs implied that he was most certainly aware of the huge 9-year age gap between the two. It's worth making clear that others have responded on Pyro's behalf, stating that he believed Ancient Reality was the same age as the girl, so he believed that he was 15, not 23, but amongst all this chaos and the unlikelihood of such an event, I received 2 emails. 8 months prior to the publishing of the French girl story, I'd made another video going over a forgotten commentator who was also affiliated with Pyrocynical, known as Seylel. Also known as Luke, Seylel only reached around 16,000 subscribers thanks to a Pyrocynical shoutout on a video that now has over 4.5 million views. Seylel used to be fairly active within the commentary community, and for a small size, it was surprising that someone as big as Pyro would appear on his channel, and that he would get a shoutout in return. Unlike someone like Ancient Reality, whose success is mostly self-made, Seylel is only known because of Pyro. Sadly, most of Seylel's content is now lost to time, as it's been set to private after he wanted to turn over a new leaf in 2020. Since then, there's been barely any activity from him, but I remembered him. His name stayed in the back of my head until one of his former Discord moderators came to me privately, alleging that he was a groomer, which prompted me to make that video, and that brings me back to these emails. The emails that had been sent were from 2 people who claimed to have more information about the allegations against Seylel. One of them claimed to be his victim, the other was another former moderator who claimed to know more about these allegations. I went to the other former moderator, the one that originally told me he was a groomer, and he confirmed it. And the information I got from these 2 individuals sent me into a rabbit hole. A small-scale investigation into Seylel and his allegations, which includes proof and testimony from the people affected. This is a publication of all that information, formulating a timeline and trying to find the truth. Seylel, known to his closer friends as Luke, was born on August 21st, 1997. Obviously, considering this is a small YouTuber from 2017, there's going to be a lot of missing spaces, but from what we do know, Seylel made his channel in June 2015, and didn't reveal his face on video until December 2016.
Okay. It's Christmas time, motherfucker. This is like the most risky purchase I've ever done because my car's gone in for its MOT, and if it fails, I'm not gonna be able to pay. At least I got the new Christmas patchy, whatever the fuck that thing is. The new Christmas onion. Oh, legendary? That was pretty dank, I ain't gonna lie. You think you cannot? You think you cannot? Do you know what it comes to getting the splot? You think you cannot? I'm a 3-star rapper. What you gonna do, yeah? Just sort of crapper. Yeah, I got them bars and you don't understand.
Like a little tea.
This is also around the time that Pyrocynical would start promoting his channel by appearing on his videos or shouting him out on podcasts.
So what is everyone's real name and location?
They don't want my fucking bank details as well.
Type your social security number in the chat down. Comment down below your social security number and bank account details. Thanks,
Just
guys.
want to mail. They're gonna mail themselves in a box to us.
My name is James.
My name's Jeff.
Seylel's name is Luke.
My name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can call you if you want.
Oh hell yeah! I want to die.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so Pyro, what's the story of your persona and your nickname?
I got Pyrocynical from the Pyro from TF2. I know that for a fact. I don't know where I got Cynical from. It's probably because I looked up Cynical in Wikipedia when I was 12 and thought, oh my god, that's was in heaven. That's fucking edgy as shit.
To this day, there's still very little explanation on why Pyrocynical promoted such a small channel so heavily, although a former moderator of Seylel's server by the name of Bleachy claimed that the two had been high school friends. But it was from one of those tweets promoting Seylel's channel that a 15-year-old Twitter artist under the pseudonym of Tiny had found Seylel's channel. And just to preface as a legal disclaimer, a lot of the following is allegations and claims, unless there's actual evidence which I'll show on screen. I just want to say that because I'm not going to preface every single statement by saying the accuser claims that or allegedly so happened, because that would be really tedious. This is a retelling of the situation from these people's alleged perspectives, and it may mistakenly come across as if I'm stating everything as fact. Okay, anyway, back to where we were, a 15-year-old Twitter artist under the pseudonym of Tiny finding Seylel. Tiny was a fan of Pyrocynical and saw that he had tweeted out a link to Seylel's YouTube channel, to which she instantly checked out. She thought his content was funny and followed his Twitter, where he had posted a picture of a Spirited Away tattoo he had recently gotten. She complimented his tattoo, he followed her back on Twitter, and out of pure excitement, she decided to draw this piece of fan art for him. Seylel thanked her in Twitter DMs and invited her to his recently made Discord server, where she joined a call. People were pretty much saying, oh my god, a real girl in the server, and Seylel then made her a mod. Tiny and Seylel became pretty good friends. They got along well, they bounced the jokes off each other, and they both had similar interests, such as Studio Ghibli films, Kirby, and Super Smash Bros. Melee. They would hang out in VC every day playing various games, such as League of Legends and Rust, but she was never thinking of going further than friends, as everyone in the server knew Seylel was already in a relationship. When two of the server mods were in a play fight for Tiny's love, Seylel joined in totally seriously, which caught her completely off guard. Tiny responded with a picture of her dog, and Seylel replied saying dog zoned or something of that sort. After this, Seylel began talking to Tiny privately about commissioning her to make channel sprites for his videos, which turned into him venting about his toxic and manipulative girlfriend. Feeling obligated to help, Tiny would try and give Seylel the best advice she could, and eventually within a week or two, Seylel had ended his relationship, which promptly turned into a relationship between Seylel and Tiny. She states that she was the first to confess her feelings, and around an hour later, he responded and said that he felt the same, and that he was in love with her. Within a month of knowing Seylel, Tiny had gotten into a relationship with him. Tiny was 15, Seylel was 19. This was Tiny's first ever relationship. The two got together on the 26th of November 2016, commemorated by a necklace that Seylel had bought for Tiny. As she was 15, Tiny had been manifesting being the best girlfriend and treated Seylel almost godlike. She'd always suck up during arguments, tried to resolve them as fast as possible, and never said anything back to him. When they first got into the relationship, Seylel would apparently treat Tiny amazingly, and showered her with gifts. The two sent each other Christmas gifts, and he apparently made sure to really take note of her interests, putting together a very thought out present that made her feel special. However, as time went on, Seylel would turn to having constant emotional outbursts or lashing out at her. He would then apologize and tell her that he's just stressed and that everything would be normal again soon. It never was. Tiny constantly had to push away all the male friends as Seylel was insanely jealous, and eventually she had to push away everyone because he thought she wasn't giving him enough time. Then, as she'd have no one else to spend time with but him, he would push her away saying she was too clingy and needed to find more friends. Tiny was left in a limbo of emotional abuse, often heavily dependent on Seylel whilst not being allowed to express it. She was constantly fat shamed by Seylel, who told her to work out so that she could be skinny or petite enough to fit his lolicon fantasies. Back in the day, the idea of lollies was apparently seen as more of an edgy joke or shock humor, perhaps contributing to why some of these people defended artists like Shadman. But Tiny believes that Seylel genuinely likes lolicon.
Well, we're hoping to move in together. We gotta sort the logistics out though still.
Yeah, because League's not allowed to go within 200 meters of primary schools or playgrounds.
Yeah,
so.
I'm actually a registered sex offender. And I mean, if you follow my channel and you see like how obsessed I am with lollies, it really would not come as a surprise.
Seylel would often call her jailbait and talk about cute lolly characters that he compared her to. He also apparently had a video about lollies, but those have been obviously removed. What has been archived though is this video titled The Face When She's 13 XD. This led me to inquire about an area of Seylel's server that I'd been previously informed about by one of Seylel's former moderators, a place simply named Say's Lolly Corner, although the former mod couldn't remember many details about it. This led me to my conversation with Bleachy, a far more active and involved mod of Seylel's, who has their own story we'll get into later in this video. But as for now, Bleachy told me that Say's Lolly Corner was a porn channel where lolly porn was posted there, and that Seylel posted there regularly and considered himself a lolicon. Another person who wants to remain anonymous told me that Seylel had gotten a tattoo of Paimon from Genshin Impact as late as 2021. Tiny and Seylel's relationship went far beyond just online texting, as in March 2017, he would visit her in her home country of Estonia, during which they had sex, again 15-19 age gap. Tiny declined to give specific comments on this experience, as she felt it was too private and too traumatic to record the details. She did note that from day one, the situation got actively sexual, so there was no shying away from her age by this point. But why did Seylel fly to Estonia first? Well, that's because he really wanted to sexually interact with Tiny, but expressed multiple times that he was terrified of going to jail. He realised that he could do what he wanted in Estonia, as at the time the age of consent was 14, and then he could wait till Tiny turned 16 to fly her out to the UK. And in July 2017, that's apparently what happened. Tiny turned 16, she was flown out to the UK, and the same thing happened again. This prompted me to ask about what the parents in the situation were saying about this. When Seylel flew over to Estonia, Tiny's parents were hesitant but fine with this relationship, as those kinds of age gaps are not exactly criticised in Eastern European countries. Seylel's parents, meanwhile, were very apprehensive about Tiny's age, but still accepted her with open arms and treated her kindly. Tiny also noted that Seylel treated her nicely while staying with her, but as soon as they left one another, he became negative again. My guess is that he switched up because he was terrified that she would go to the police if he antagonized her when they were together. Whilst Tiny wasn't able to have continuous logs of her interactions with Seylel, she does have multiple pieces of evidence that support her validity. This includes many pictures taken of her with Seylel, art that she drew for him over the time of their relationship, pictures of them playing League together, his Spirited Away tattoo, and more. There's also a Discord message in Seylel's server where Seylel, whilst drunk, says that he hates Sire and misses Tiny, using a custom emoji of her face that was on the server. This profile picture lines up with a character that he used to represent him multiple times in his outro. Perhaps the biggest piece of evidence is a song that Seylel supposedly recorded for her whilst they were together.
All your surprises and all your different ways, hearts beating so fast I've got butterflies for days, but they make my soul complete.
Tiny and Seylel would break up on July 28th, 2017, with Seylel initiating the breakup whilst Tiny was at a friend's birthday party. He stated that they lacked the money to keep seeing each other, but in reality he was already cheating on her with his next girlfriend and just wanted an excuse to get out. You'd think the interactions would stop there, but no. According to Tiny, Seylel would remove her a few months later because he was getting sad anytime he saw anything related to her. But it only took a few months until he got back in contact again and told her he missed her and her body. In 2018, while she was 17 and visiting a friend in the UK, Seylel asked to meet up again, and Tiny almost accepted until she backed out at the last second. Her interactions with Seylel would only stop after she turned 18 years old in 2019. Tiny's proof and statements suggest truly disgusting actions put onto her, only worsened by the fact that, again, this was apparently her first relationship ever. Her words paint a picture of Seylel being a disgusting lolicon freak who is only interested in her because of her being a minor and looking like a minor. Yet the freak association doesn't stop there. It's here where we're going to take a detour for a second, to talk about one of Seylel's once closest friends and the co-owner of his server. CyreWasTaken was a commentary editor from Finland, as well as a former friend of Seylel, and when the Discord server first came out, he was one of the co-owners of Seylel's Discord, along with the man himself. Cyre was incredibly close with Seylel and regularly played League of Legends with him. He was his partner in crime, both figuratively and literally. It's here where we switch to the story of Bleachy, a former mod of Seylel's server and a friend of Tiny. Bleachy was another teenager who found Seylel the same way Tiny did, through a tweet from Pyrocynical in late 2016, hoping to meet Pyro through Seylel. However, that ulterior motive dissipated after they started talking to Seylel on Twitter, with the conversation leading to a Discord invite and them getting the mod role upon their arrival. They would soon become close friends with Tiny. Within around only a week, Cyre, one of the owners, started to take a specific interest in Bleachy, a young Discord moderator who was openly talking about their BPD and depressive episodes. He would begin flirting with them, possibly recognizing that they were vulnerable, or maybe it was because they posted selfies of themselves when they were 15 but looked 13 at the oldest. These selfies have been sent to me and I can confirm the sentiment, although obviously I can't show this because of privacy reasons, you'll just have to take my word on it. Eventually this flirting turned to a relationship, with Cyre initiating it. When it began, Bleachy was 15. Cyre meanwhile has been very inconsistent on his age. He told some people that he was 17 turning 18, whilst he told others that he was 18 turning 19. Whilst the relationship age gap isn't beat for beat the same as Tiny and Seylel, and the relationship was nowhere near as long, lasting only around a month and a half, Cyre's behaviour during the relationship is arguably just as bad. Within a week he introduced sexual topics in the relationship, and would regularly coerce them into sending lewd and nude pictures. Bleachy was only comfortable with sending pictures of their top half naked, even through his insistence for full nudes. On other times he would tell them to fake moan and call him master during their daily 12-hour calls. Cyre and Seylel would regularly post other sexual topics to the server, such as having actual dick measuring contests with the rest of the server, or posting the king test repeatedly and encouraging people to do it. Bleachy says that there were people on the server mod team that were as young as 14. And this brings me back to the Seylel's Lolly Corner channel. Cyre was the other individual, along with Seylel, who was regularly interested in the Lolly Corner channel, constantly posting and considering themselves lollicons. Cyre would also call Bleachy his lolly, and Bleachy believes he was into it because of the childlike features. Whilst asking them to send him nudes, Cyre asked for a video of them bouncing their breasts, and then sounded disappointed when they were bigger than he thought they were, apparently calling them, quote, little mounds. And after the relationship, unbeknownst to Bleachy, he'd been saving every one of their nudes to a private Discord server for his own pleasure. Cyre was also making plans to meet Bleachy and was obsessed with being the one to take their virginity, also asking if he could have sex with them in their sleep. He would try and send them pictures of himself harming, and when they asked if they could help, he asked for nudes. He would also become occasionally possessive and jealous, as whilst Bleachy was VCing and playing games with guys around their age, Cyre messaged one of them telling him to back off or keep away from them. In January 2017, Cyre and Bleachy broke up. According to Bleachy, he had been incredibly pushy around Christmas about getting nudes specifically of their ass, as that was around the time of his birthday, and he wanted it to be a Christmas/birthday present. Bleachy denied this because they were incredibly uncomfortable about it, and after multiple requests, he eventually stopped as he realised they wouldn't budge. Bleachy later asked for a break from the relationship, and then broke up with him on the 12th of January, with them remembering that he responded with a resigned acceptance. Cyre would also get Seylel to talk to them about the breakup, and after it, Bleachy would immediately block Cyre because the idea of seeing him made them anxious. Following their relationship, Cyre also tried to groom other people, with one of them being someone who he believed to be a 13-year-old girl. The other person was Tiny herself, while she was still in a relationship with Seylel. Tiny stated that Cyre was head over heels for her, and he wasn't even trying to hide it. She corroborated the claim of Cyre being a lolicon, and often commented how her art or her face looked very lolly-like, and that she should, quote, keep it up. During a Rust session, he was blatantly flirting with her on VC and in front of Seylel, leading to an argument resulting in Seylel banning him from the server. According to Bleachy, Seylel didn't ban this guy because he was dating an underage girl, he banned him because he was flirting with his underage girlfriend. He was fully aware of the relationship that his once close friend was having. Seylel would continue his online activity inside the commentary community until his disappearance in 2020, and with all this information, many will raise questions about who knew about these situations, with eyes being drawn to Pyrocynical. Both individuals recall having met Seylel through a Pyro tweet. Now, does that mean Pyro caused this? Obviously not intentionally. I do not believe he was trying to somehow send people over to him with some sort of malicious intent, and I have no proof that Seylel committed any predatory actions prior to 2016. But Pyro being brought up is a fair question. The two appeared in videos together. It's pretty clear that Pyro and Seylel were close friends. Even in 2020, when Seylel was barely active and streaming to only a handful of viewers on Twitch, Pyro would jump onto his Twitch streams.
I'm not a sub, guys. Stop this fucking dumb meme of me being a sub.
Guys, stop bullying me, guys. Please stop it.
Niall, Next time I see you, I will ram my dick so far up my ass you'll wish that you'd never said that.
What, up your own ass? When I was a kid, I used to sweat and used to be in the top of
Tweets also show that Pyro and Seylel were both together at Insomnia 61 during summer 2017, around the time that Seylel would have broken up with Tiny. However, it's interesting that we mentioned Tiny because she told me that when she flew over to the UK, she said she did not meet any of Seylel's friends. In fact, she noted that during the relationship, Seylel had told Pyrocynical about her, but made it seem like she was 18, and he said the same to all his friends. So we absolutely know that Pyro didn't know at the time of it happening, but did he know after? Well, Tiny wasn't around the community for that, but everyone else who was says yes. Bleachy stated that Pyro was fairly active in Seylel's server, once intervening in a VC on Seylel's behalf during some drama between Seylel and the Kinky Donkey, another commentator. As they stated, Pyro was pretty damn close to Seylel, saying, "With Seylel, I think it's more likely you'd be struck by lightning than Pyro not knowing." This also lines up with the testimony of the anonymous moderator, who corroborated the story about Pyro intervening in the server, and was confident that Pyro knew about what Seylel did.
It gets really fucking repetitive, to be honest. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I don't get that because I'm a fucking tiny ass.
Oh, you will soon. I promise you, and you will fucking despise it.
I also spoke to an individual who was previously in Pyrocynical's friend group who requested I keep them anonymous. They stated that everyone in Pyro's friend group had all heard of Seylel getting cancelled publicly for going to Lithuania to meet up with a minor. Obviously, we know now that they got that confused with Estonia, so that girl would have been Tiny. It's imperative to mention Pyro in this situation and consider the possibility that he may have known afterwards, because after this incident, Pyro would go on to feature Seylel on his channel in a video that now has over 4 million views. You have to ask if he knowingly promoted a pedophile, or what details he may have been told about the relationship. As much shit as I've given Pyro, one thing for certain is I don't think this is purely specific to him, as it was with the French girl. Note that my anonymous source stated everyone in Pyro's friend group, and something about this happening publicly. I think there are many more people who used to be in the commentary community who knew about open secrets and situations like this behind closed doors, but there was only one who had a channel with millions of subscribers, and only one who people will probably remember to this day. There's also only one who was as close to Seylel as he was, and only one who appeared on his streams in 2020, long after he stopped uploading. And I'll end the segment on that note. In June 2018, Seylel would hit 13,000 subscribers. This was also around the time that he was featured in one of Pyrocynical's videos, that being the Dame tu Casita video, which has now gathered around 4.5 million views. Yet this only signaled the twilight of his career. Around this time, he also went to Insomnia 63, and in late 2018, he would also post these pictures with Pyrocynical, implying that maybe they were taken during Insomnia 63, but that's an uncertainty. Whilst talking to the anonymous individual who was in Pyro's friend group, they also told me that sometime around 2018 to 2019, Seylel had met up with another minor and they bragged about their relationship. Not many specifics were given on the identity of this minor, other than saying that it was the same girl that Crucify met up with. Some audience viewers might have just had a Vietnam flashback at the mention of that name, but for everyone else, Crucify was a somewhat notable commentary Twitter orbiter who's now only known for being a total degenerate. However, as I investigated more and more into Crucify, hoping to find who this minor was, I only found myself into a deeper and deeper rabbit hole. Seemingly, this fucker had, as one Twitter artist put it, flirted with every minor I knew under the sun. Eventually, I was guided towards a name, that being Castile, or Sergeant Pink, a commentary Twitter artist who exposed Crucify for asking her to draw NSFW art to beat off to while she was 13. But again, this sucks because our only lead so far is Castile, a person who left the internet ages ago for her own allegations, and these interactions don't really line up with the description I was given, so it was another dead end. Seylel would enter a lull of activity from late 2018 onwards, only sparking back up months later in August 2019. Around this time he was actively looking for a job as a video editor, with plans to upload more videos alongside appearing on the Twitch streams of another of his close friends, known as Seb or SimCityGG. On January 12th, 2020, Seylel would continue down a new content direction with his music video for his song Reciprocation. In January 2020, Seylel, Pyrocynical and Seb would play Dark Souls 3 in a short video posted on Seb's channel, one that is now unlisted. By this point, Seylel was mostly inactive, and this video got like 50 views on a 500 subscriber channel.
Shut the fuck up.
Any advice for DreamHack, Niall?
Don't go.
You haven't done the quest.
Oh shit, no, I didn't get him out the well. Fuck. Crazy.
There's a crash moment. I didn't scare them. That's a great.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
King God, dude, please.
Please.
A few days later, Seylel would collaborate with his friend Seb on a new project, titled Telehubbies. This collaboration would primarily be them both live streaming on Twitch, and they had an entire Discord set up for this. A video is also showcased showing the live stream where Pyrocynical called in. In October 2020, porn streaming site Chaturbate would host their own music contest, and Seylel would submit the song Chaturbate Girl. His submission would win 4th place. After this, both Seylel and Cyre would become inactive during late 2020. Seylel would just deactivate his Twitter account and his at would be taken by another user, while Cyre has just abandoned his Twitter, except for one liked tweet in March 2021. No official reason has ever been cited for them leaving, but the most accurate theory for me is that allegations against Pyrocynical were being published in the same time frame. My guess is that they saw this and ran, seeing that past DMs were now resurfacing. In November 2022, I published my video, The Disappearance of Seylel, in which I discussed Seylel's career and the allegations made against him by the former moderator. Soon after, Seylel would filter his comments so no one's comments could be seen anymore, and he also set the diss track skit that I had previously retrieved to private. It is worth making clear that the allegations against Cyre and Seylel are exactly that. Allegations. The fact that Tiny and Bleachy have managed to cobble together this much evidence in the first place against a 17,000 subscriber YouTuber from 2018 and a forgotten commentary editor is a miracle. With this decent chunk of screenshots and multiple sources to corroborate what happened, it seems very unlikely that Seylel is particularly innocent. But that's as far as this case can sadly go, as it's been ages, and even if this happened last year, Tiny would not be able to pursue any effective legal action against Seylel due to how far away they live from each other. The commentary community has had a lot of its buried secrets resurfaced, from the French girl story last year to the demise of Malix, another British commentator. All this does is allude to yet more freaks inside what seems like a creep-infested circle. It does beg the question of what else is out there, what else was done behind the scenes back then, what else did people turn a blind eye to? It also begs asking whether we can even prove that it happened by this point. Are these incidents, these ancient Skype logs, are they even archived? Is the cave of commentary secrets a vast cavern, or merely a dead end? Well, you can't really tell the difference when you're treading in total darkness. Until next time, stay safe and stay toasty.